May 21, 2024. Yeah, every day, a whole lot went on today, especially with weather warfare. Yes, I did see it, Sandra, and it's bad. It's bad. You know, a decade ago, these tornadoes that came about really wowed people. How many of you look at this kind of destruction and are desensitized to it? And I think that's what happens when we see something over and over and over again with nothing, good coming. We just get used to the destruction and just move on. And that's sad. So, hello, Sandra. Alicia DeMoss and D. Moore and the 90s Brooklynite and Andrew Cruz and Wonder Why. Hi. And CR61 and Jane Northrup and Silent Walk and Oracle 11 and Angelos and Derek and James B., Mike Luft, Rage Against the Machine, Analog Synth Player, Donna Davidson. Hello. 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 Julie. Hi. And Denise Martinez, Wire Palladium. Hello. Paladin. Sorry. San Francisco. And Phil Strange. Yeah. So, I hope some of you have bookmarked these sites and checking them out several times a day, because this has grown from this morning. You can see the frequencies involved in these storms. It's still in Iowa, causing a whole lot of damage. Now into Wisconsin. We've got the supercells in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Did a lot of damage. Let me show you what it looked like earlier. And it's very obvious, all of the frequencies in use. This was at 6:43 a.m. So I guess it was 8:43 in Iowa. Look at all of the frequencies. Look at all of the supercells. But they had more supercells for Iowa. And a whole lot of people have lost everything. Look at all of these frequencies involved. And this I took during Ryan Hall's live, and he's still live.
Near Red Oak, Iowa. This is live. This is happening right now as the tornado is just now coming down. And unfortunately, this is going to go, oh man, this might go right into Red Oak here soon if it's not there already. So we need you.
Look at all, now Red Oak is pretty much right here. Look at these frequencies. Look at these frequencies. Got one blasting on the west side. You got one blasting on the south. You got another blasting north. It's like, okay, we're just going to pretend that these frequencies have nothing to do with the intensity of these storms. I guess that's what we're supposed to do, I guess. Right? Well, let's take a look at the aftermath. Now you saw it on radar, and this is current radar, by the way. So are you noticing how they're growing these things? All right, let me go back. on, this was at 12:42 my time, so it was like 2:42. Okay. You have a little growth here from Nebraska into Iowa, and it's quite defined. And that's not Mother Nature, as we know. But let me show you. Let's pan out. You see how they have grown these storms? This was at 12:42. 12:42, and this is current. Now the storms are racing through Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Well, I guess I just... More violent weather ahead after tornadoes ripped, or reported in plains, but ripped through the plains.
Another vicious storm system, this time barreling toward the Central Plains and Midwest. After a violent night when at least 13 reported twisters tore a path of destruction through Colorado, Kansas, and Oklahoma, injuring 2.
No! Oh my gosh!
The I-70 corridor whipped by winds topping 100 miles per hour. Drivers seen here sheltering at a gas station as baseball-sized hail rained down.
That was massive hail.
Here in Houston, thousands are suffering through a 4th day without power. Today, lines at food drives like this one wrapped around the block. Some running out of food for hundreds within less than 2 hours.
We were inundated with families today, multiple families per car. People really do seem to need some additional assistance.
My concern was him having a heat stroke.
Some now turning to cooling centers as temperatures soar into the 90s throughout the week. What was it like in that house?
If you turn on your oven at 350 degrees and you open it up,
That's how it feels.
that's how it feels in the house.
EMS rescuing senior citizens inside this crumbling assisted living facility after officials say they were abandoned for days.
No food, no ice, no nothing.
Tonight, millions across the South and Midwest in the bullseye for severe weather, with spring storms showing no signs of letting up.
And Priscilla joins us now live from Houston. Priscilla, what are the big concerns heading into this evening?
Well, Lester, tonight, 16 million people from the Central Plains to the Midwest are at risk for high winds, damaging hail, and potentially deadly tornadoes.
Okay, she's exactly right. We had deadly tornadoes, baseball-sized hail, high winds, and a whole lot of destruction. So, tornado destroys Prescott, Iowa wind turbines, and fire ensues. Very safe. It's just wonderful, this green energy. It's not costly at all, right?
Dude, there's several windmills broke right there. One on fire, one collapsed. This windmill, taken down. Multiple windmills taken down. You can see down there and across the road there. 1, 2, 3 windmills broken by this tornado. That one is on fire. This tornado took out this windmill farm. Several of them collapsed. It's all ripped off of this fence.
Reliable energy, you're looking at it. Widespread damage in Greenfield, Iowa.
The business on the right side of the screen looks like significant damage to the roof. Some of these homes as we move into the community, that's a tree down right across the street. Again, these are live pictures. Just want to tell you that we're seeing this for the first time.
We're missing a bunch of roofs here now all of a sudden, and obviously it's getting worse. Whole homes destroyed.
Yeah, so Brandon is he's on the scene here. This is the This is the immediate aftermath. Brandon is reporting massive structural damage. We can see that. This is into Greenfield now. Let's listen in.
Camera.
Here, I think this is an aerial shot of all of the damage in Greenfield.
In fact, we do have damage reports coming into the newsroom, including damaged homes, a blown over semi-truck near Elkhart, and this to our south, that tornado just devastating Greenfield. Drone videos showing the extent of it. Homes on every single block were damaged, some of them leveled. WHO 13's Jason Parkin joins us live on the ground. Jason, you were the first to show us this tornado and then to get into town. You've been talking to people there for the past few hours. It truly is devastating.
It's devastating. It's surreal. I'm from small town Iowa. This is an awful thing to see. The first thing I want to tell people is don't come here. The emergency officials are all saying they're going to restrict access to town. They don't want help right now. Down at the Incident Command Center, they're doing triage still. There's all kinds of emergency personnel down there who are very busy. They don't want anybody else in town. Danielle Griffith has a business here, her husband does, and tell us about what happened to you guys here.
My husband Dave, he owns Griff's Garage here in town, just a small business, and it is a complete loss. Everything is gone, as you can see over here. It's the community has come together. We're trying to salvage every little bit that we can.
So tell people what Lee's showing them here. These are your lifts from your garage.
What is left is just the lifts. As you can see, everybody's trying right now just to get to anything that is salvageable, tools, any type of equipment that Dave can save, just to get out of here tonight. And literally the tractors are just trying to help us get anything that we can. These are our friends and our family helping out right now. Community coming together just to help us save what we can.
I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I want to say, from a weather nerd point of view, those lifts go into the concrete quite a ways, and they've been tipped over by the force of this wind.
Yeah, there's literally nothing left. They are, I believe, 10,000-pound lifts. They hold cars, trucks, everything, and as you can see, they are no longer there.
And there are all kinds of cars that have been tossed here around us. Danelle, thank you so much for letting me grab you.
There was a time when everybody would be like national mainstream media would be all on it. Everybody would be just like, oh my God. Now it's so commonplace. Parts of Greenfield, Iowa.
Oh, can you hear me? Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie. Our storm tracker has just arrived in Greenfield. These are our first live images as they drive into town. They're having to navigate around some road closures. As you can imagine, some of the areas are not safe to drive. And also worth mentioning, do not show up in these areas right now. They have plenty of emergency management crews doing the necessary work in the immediate aftermath right now. But Chris, you're getting a good look at some of the damage there. And this is on the outskirts kind of what's happening. We have Dana and Rachel there right now.
Do we have Dana on the phone with us at all? Can we work on getting her?
We do not.
Let's work on getting her to see if she can convey what she's describing. But we're looking on significant damage to home.
No shit. One dead, major damage in Iowa.
Are likely many injuries from the tornado that ripped through the town of Greenfield, Iowa. This is about an hour southwest of Des Moines. Look at that devastation. Dozens of homes and businesses have been damaged there. Exact totals of the numbers hurt not been released yet. We do know it maybe could have been worse, even though that looks devastating. The path of the tornado passed right by a hospital in that town.
Went downstairs and was in the furnace room, and then I heard like a train.
a train, and then insulation came from the basement, one of the basement windows, and came in, and I heard it and I knew it was hitting.
People taking their precautions there.
We're watching in real time from Corning, Iowa, looking off in the distance. Brandon is now describing this as a massive tornado on the ground. It does look like.
So it wasn't just Greenfield, but that's where, that's the town that got hit the hardest. Corning, Iowa, as well. This is Messina. I don't know about I've heard broadcasts where they were saying there was destruction in Corning. I don't know about Messina.
His feed is back up, and he's, again, he's been doing this for a long time. He knows how to do this safely. He's moving toward that tornado on the ground right now. So we're going to have a more clear picture of this. Vince's shot, it's an obvious tornado, yes, but we're obscured a little bit by the hillside and by the trees at the lowest level of this. Brandon's shot, we have a little bit of a better look at it. It's just the signal that's going in and out a little bit. You see folks are around too. Most trying to get out of the way of that, but that is a confirmed tornado warning. Montgomery, Iowa, right now, correct, Dylan? That's the county the storm is still in. But you know,
babe, why are you crying? Do you feel for us? You crying for us? Huh? Now he's lying down, looking oh so forlorn. Hail, bigger than baseballs, destroy windshields in Colorado. Well, the windshield's absolutely toast now.
I mean, I can't even hear the rain in this video. It was all hail. That windshield trashed by hailstones larger than baseballs. This happened in the town of Akron. Brandon says he had just a small enough area to see out of the windshield. And if you think the view from inside the car is bad, look at this. He took a picture outside. The picture outside, you really get the perspective. And fortunately, he was able to safely pull over. The entire windshield is cratered.
What is it, sweetie pea? Now that's insane. That's insane hell, right? I mean, it looks like, you know, all of this was dropped in like 5 seconds. That it got this truck so stuck. Yuma residents recovering after severe weather causes damage. Colorado.
A big area that they're having to clean up. Look at this. I just picked up these hailstones. You can see how big they are, and this is after they've been sitting out in the sun for hours now. Look at this right here behind me, a whole pile of this hail that was falling just last night. Obviously, this is where they had to shove it off the side of the road in order to clear a pathway, because some describe this as a river of hail and water. And you can see all of the damage that it done, all the trees, all the limbs falling down to the ground, peppering the roadway and the front yards with all of this greenage. And then look over here. You can tell this is how it came from the north. People having to dig out, and you can see the damage to the north sides of their homes, digging out from all this hail once again from hours ago. Take a look at this video. You can really see the amount of damage that this storm caused from overnight. It was Monday night into Tuesday morning, strong winds. Many people telling us they woke up to the sound of this storm rolling through the area. Unfortunately, there is livestock that has even been lost in part of this as the community continues to clean up. We spoke with some who say, unfortunately, this is just part of living in this area.
As soon as the tornado warning expired.
That is just part of living in that area? Really? I don't think so. Maybe in the recent years they got hailstorms. But they don't understand that this is we all know.
Then we got a notification, a code red notification about anticipated large damaging hail, and about 9:30, maybe a little before that, is when it started. We've had hail damage and storms before with heavy winds and rain, but never like this. We've had some damage to the house, but never windows busted out and flooding and all of that before.
Definitely a tough situation. What's wild is that you can drive through this community, and if it weren't for all of the grass all over the ground and the hail, most of the homes look like they're perfectly fine, and the churches do as well, until you get on the north side, and that's where you see all the shattered glass. One church with all of their beautiful stained glass completely ruined now. It's going to take a little while to clean all of this up.
Yeah, Yuma took a direct hit from this storm, and it continued on all the way to Ray. And in all my years storm chasing in Colorado, I don't quite ever remember seeing a hail core quite like this one because of how extensive the large hailstones were. So we're talking about golf ball to baseball size hailstones covering the entire town of Yuma. Not a single building, car, or field was spared, but at least some sort of impact. And one of the spots here that I've been focusing in on is this hotel, the Cobblestone Inn and Suites. There's literally no siding left on the west side or the north side of this building. You can see some of the windows were knocked out. There's actual golf ball size puncture holes in some of the vents and other parts of the building. The cars were impacted by this hail as well. Taillights, windshields, back windows knocked out of the vehicles. And it's not just here at this hotel, it's the entire town that kind of looks similar to this. And it's not just the hail, though. There was a lot of rain that came down with this. Take a look at some of the flooding from last night. Fields just completely inundated with flood waters. This was the case all through the town as well. I've been hearing quite a bit of flooding inside people's basements as well. So flooding, hail, big issues with this storm, Ed, but fortunately the tornadoes were not as substantial as we thought they could be. No supercell tornadoes and no confirmed tornadoes from that last night's.
A woman is trapped in a home for 5 days in Houston because of downed lines. So she had to call the news, ABC 13 Houston, because every time she called the power companies, they wouldn't do anything about it.
It breaks you down.
It's been an emotional 5 days for Natalie Washington, fearing that she and her grandson were just feet away from electrocution. As of this morning, these utility lines laying on the ground from the two poles on the sides of her house were still draped across her driveway, mailbox, fence, and part of her yard.
I'm too terrified. I'm not going to even try it because, oops, it was a mistake, and I'm fried in my truck.
Meanwhile, she felt too fearful to allow her husband of 40 years to come back inside the home.
All he could do is sit at the street and talk to me while I'm sitting on the porch. It's hard. It's real.
Don't expect anyone to come help you. I mean, my God, something is terribly wrong with our people. Hydro couple details moments tornado flipped their home. This was in Oklahoma.
And officials in Hydro also tell me that one other person was taken to the hospital. But as the Shermans now start the cleanup process, they are on a mission to spread a message that mobile homes are not a safe place to be during Oklahoma tornadoes.
That's why I wanted to include this. They're on it. They're going to make mobile homes uninhabitable. Too bad for you. We have seen so much destruction in regular homes, but they now keep and I've showed you this about a week ago on mainstream media, the mobile home message. Mobile homes, you just can't survive a tornado. Well, I've seen an awful lot of homes destroyed because of a tornado. So I find that message a little concerning for people who have mobile homes.
Reporting live in Hydro, Megan Mosley, KOCO 5 News.
Blaine County, this also in Oklahoma.
Here behind me, and you can see there's a tractor in there that's just completely covered in debris. Now, I talked with the local sheriff here in Blaine County, and he says he brought in some extra help for all this.
Our awning was gone in the back and some roof damage.
Luckily, the storm didn't do much to Aubrey's house, but just across the street and less than a football field away, a different story.
They already knew that they had lost both of their barns.
Aubrey says she checked on the property owners, a husband and wife. Despite the 2 destroyed barns and twisted metal, no injuries. And while the
And good, no injuries, okay, but the barns are gone. And in one of the broadcasts, which I might have jumped off it too soon, they were talking about all of the livestock, a whole lot of livestock. The hail in Colorado, the tornadoes, either dead, some missing. All right, so these tornadoes, Wisconsin, Michigan, be alert. I'll put the link in to the radar site I use, but when you see these supercells coming at you, especially with all of the frequencies in play, you have to be very careful. So, the link is in the chat. And more storms. They're saying these storms are going to go throughout the week. Here, another YouTube meteorologist. A huge storm is coming today. And it's huge. And it's definitely not done. Many Spring Branch residents, this is Houston, without power. So now we're down to, well, for this utility company, it's 118,360 without power.
Numbers on power outages. Centerpoint telling us right now, customers affected, no power, 118,360. That is down from nearly 1 million outages last week. The utility has an army of people working to get the lights back on, but some residents frustrated in this heat.
KTO 11 News.
Mama Rages, I've had you on my mind. Be very careful, and I really hope that you stay safe, nothing happens. Yeah, and thanks for coming into the chat.
Melissa Garza joins us from a neighborhood in Spring Branch where people are still waiting for the power to be restored. How are they holding up, Jalissa?
Well, Mia, it's hot out here. The folks in this neighborhood are faring as best they can, helping each other out. The house we're at right now actually has a generator. They've been able to plug in some fans and chargers for their phones. Also hooked up their neighbor's home too, an elderly couple there, so they want to make sure they're okay. Earlier we showed you, it was about 104 right in the sun. Right here in the shade, 93 degrees, still hot. We want to take you inside the home. Like I said, they are able to have some fans in here, so we want to give a look at what the temperature is in here. 87 degrees. Now, that is a lot less than 104, but I don't know anybody in Southeast Texas that puts their air conditioning at 87 degrees. Upstairs in this home, even hotter. You can see I'm sweating, so imagine the people who have been dealing with this for 5 days. We spoke to several residents, including the homeowner here. Take a listen to what they had to say.
The expectations are gone. It's like, all right, just we'll get it on when we get it on, but just don't keep sending us text messages that, oh, it's going to be on, and then I'm having to run and buy more gasoline.
It's just been really hard. I have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and my wife is 8 months pregnant, so we're sweating it out waiting for the power.
Again, they're helping each other out as best they can. We've seen them all out here talking with each other, trying to help each other. That's what Houston's all about. I know we all know it. I know it from growing up in Houston. So again, we're just hoping these residents get their power on, and anyone else who is still impacted. We talked to Centerpoint earlier. If your power is still not on, there's different reasons. It could be they're still working. It could be damaged.
Everyone has a reason, right? Austria had a tornado?
The tornado, which formed near the Plavuch Mountain, moved through the Eggenberg district of Graz, damaging at least one roof. The heavy rains intensified in the evening, impacting the greater Graz area, and particularly the districts in the west, such as Eggenberg. The tornado is believed to have formed above the Plavuch area.
I'll post the link if anybody wants to see this, but yes, when man controls the weather, they can control it anywhere, all over the world. Austria is not known for its tornadoes. Okay, so I'm going to post a link to Brush Junkie, her video that she posted today about the 10-minute city that is on its way. I'm going to play a few minutes. Kauai 10-minute city plans, not even 15, 10-minute city plans. Oh, God.
But before we get started, if you have not yet subscribed, please do before you leave. And please like, comment, and share this video with as many people so we can get the word out. And the reason that I'm doing these videos on the TOD corridor plans for the different islands is because they tend to be related to these tragedies that are going on, or they call it natural disasters, such as the incident on Maui, and they tend to correlate with areas that are being planned for redevelopment. So if you're a little bit newer, that's what I'm doing here. So with that, let's get started. Here's Shane's presentation.
Today, we're going to revisit the State of Hawaii Strategic Plan for Transit-Oriented Development, or TOD. We've cited this particular document a couple times before, while presenting the Maui TOD corridor that runs through Lahaina, as well as the Oahu Plan for Transit-Oriented Development, which runs through Honolulu. But this time, we'll be laser focused on the island of Kauai and its plan for a TOD corridor, also referred to as a community corridor or cultural corridor. The county of Kauai has been aggressive in implementing what they call smart growth and TOD principles into their plans, ordinances, and infrastructure projects. Kauai was the first county to adopt a complete streets ordinance in 2010, which set the direction for future planning efforts. Kauai wants to reduce the number of vehicle miles traveled by increasing the reliance on transit, walking, and cycling. In 2010, the Lihue Town Core Plan was adopted, which looked at the historic town's core and created a plan to support redevelopment. It specifically alleged a need to create a walkable place with pedestrian and bicycle networks. This was the first plan that incorporated so-called complete streets, attributing the stagnation of the Lihue town core to the sprawl and decentralization of Lihue. 4 new special planning areas were created as overrides to existing zoning to support redevelopment, including the pursuance of mixed-use zoning, raising the height limit from 20 feet to 50 feet, and street frontage for new buildings. The Lihue Community Plan looked to the broader region to instigate the general plan's policy to make Lihue be Kauai's major growth center. The subdivision ordinance was also amended through Bill 2465, titled Implementing Multimodal Principles in Subdivisions, which now requires sidewalks in new residential subdivisions in the industrial district and within a half-mile of any school, in addition to reducing the maximum block length in residential and commercial areas from 1,800 feet to 450 feet in order to discourage driving and promote walking. The South Kauai Community Plan, adopted in 2015, is redeveloping with transect planning concepts and form-based codes as overrides to traditional zoning in these special planning areas. Zoning is performance-based with no set densities and smaller footprint housing with less square footage. New missing middle housing types were introduced for Kauai, such as carriage house, courtyard apartment, cottage, and cottage court, which are denser housing than was previously allowed. They also want a range of civic spaces with street and thoroughfare standards. The community wanted to protect the rural feel in Koloa, so two-way streets were preserved and multimodal roadway networks were planned with shared use paths requiring less vehicle lanes and more pedestrian paths, sidewalks, and bike lanes. The housing crisis on Kauai is exacerbated by having fewer homes for residents being constructed due to overregulation. 44% of all households are considered cost-burdened, paying more than 30% of their income for housing. They anticipate a demand for 9,000 units by 2035, not including 1,200 units of pent-up demand. The Kauai General Plan Update was a major takeover which provided the opportunism to incorporate previous work on so-called complete streets, smart growth, and multimodal transportation plans into the long-term island-wide plan for guiling future growth. The plan is action-based and under County Council review. The General Plan Update aggravates the housing crisis by planning to direct where housing should go, state what types of housing communities are allowed, and how government can enforce public versus private housing creation. Population growth is allocated, with 40% of future growth being directed to Lihue, despite Lihue not being the fastest growing area. A focused set of policies was developed to articulate the path towards meeting the community's visions and goals, especially relative to TOD. This includes designating what they call complete neighborhoods by ensuring less roads and increasing access to jobs, commerce, transit, and public services through mixed-use walkable residential and commercial zones.
Okay, the link is in the chat again. They go in and destroy communities, and then they build back better. There was an earthquake in Campi Flegrei, Italy, 4.4. Now, Italy also just got, well, they had an awful lot. They had a swarm of earthquakes right before this earthquake that hit. But they've also had massive flooding that, well, when you think about what they can do with extremely low frequencies, they can create these earthquakes.
A 4.4 magnitude earthquake struck Italy's Campi Flegrei supervolcano Monday evening, causing mild damage in the town of Pozzuoli, the epicenter, and as far away as the city of Naples, some 20 kilometers, 12 miles away, according to Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, INGV. Of 3 kilometers is the strongest earthquake to hit the highly seismic area in the past 40 years, according to INGV data. The quake is part of an ongoing seismic storm that has seen more than a dozen events over 2.0 magnitude in the past 48 hours.
Don't know about any of you, but I wouldn't want to be in one. This is the earthquake. that supermarket got a lot of exposure. Snakes cause unusual power outage in Franklin. News Channel 5. Oh, where's News Channel 5? I looked it up. I can't remember.
It's kind of crazy, you know. I mean, how could a snake cause a power outage?
Paul Williams has had his fair share of power outages in Williamson County, whether that be because of storms, birds, or other wild animals. But the latest outages caught him and, frankly, many others by surprise.
And it was just kind of surprising, you know. You read it and it says snakes. I mean, how does a snake cause the transformer to go down?
Here, I'll put the link in if you want to learn. But squirrels, snakes, I mean, we're having an awful lot of power outages. When before we hardly had any, except for the major rare storms. Now we have them all over. Wildlife causing power outages. Mystery over spilled sewage in woman's front yard.
Mystery sparking frustration for an Oklahoma woman.
Here's the problem. There's a broken sewer line in her yard. It's now spilling onto the street. However, she says it's not her problem and she doesn't know who's responsible.
News 4's Dylan Brown is live in the village covering this messy situation. Dylan, you said you could smell it earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Jolene and Kevin. If I had smell-o-vision, I'd really have to warn the viewers on this one. But this is the problem right here. It's sewage seeping out from her lawn onto the street. Here's the deal. She stands in between. This is the line. The village over here, Oklahoma City technically over here. She's gotten call after call of folks telling her she's going to have to pay for this. She definitely doesn't want to.
Every time I mow the yard, I smell the sewage. That bothers me.
Lori Giacchino has a problem. Sewage has been seeping onto her lawn and in the street from what seemed to be a broken pipe.
The sewage started seeping right here and remained here, but soon it continues right here. It goes over here and it ends right here, but it doesn't stop here.
It's been happening for 2 weeks.
It's not my sewage. My sewage starts over here.
Her address is in the village, so she went there
They
first.
didn't smell anything, and they told me, oh, that's the city's freshwater line.
They sent her to Oklahoma City to get it fixed. That's who she pays for sewage and has for over 60 years.
They're telling us it's not their responsibility, and somebody needs to tell us what we're paying for and why we're paying for it.
In front of her house, she says, is the technical line between the village and OKC. Thursday, the Department of Environmental Quality came out and told her it's a private line connecting several houses.
Then what are we paying the city for?
They're now looking to see who needs to pay up.
They said the DEQ is going to come out and determine whose poop emoji is in the street.
You will get no help anymore. Nothing is going right. Have you noticed? Nothing goes right. If you call one government office, they send you to another government office. If you call one department in a corporation, they send you to another department. Life is just one big frustration. I see a lot of people posting videos. These people I don't know. I'm not subscribed, but I'll see them on my homepage. You know, the titles are, "Life is getting really hard." Things aren't going to get better. A lot of people are feeling it. 2 people rescued from a semi-truck dangling from Oklahoma City Interstate.
This is the retaining wall on westbound I-40 and the I-35 interchange. Now, officials say a semi-truck jackknifed and went up this wall where 2 people had to be rescued.
I don't know how this happened. Preliminary indications are showing that the semi-truck was jackknifed and was traveling too fast for the roadway conditions.
This was the scene just after 11 p.m. Sunday night when a semi-truck spun out and climbed nearly 25 feet up a retaining wall. OHP says it's not clear how the truck went up the wall, but with rain and wind.
A lot of oil comes up from the road initially right after it rains, which can cause hydroplaning, also to standing water.
It was the rain. Crane accident in Houston kills one, another injured.
Yeah, Anthony. Now, it happened here at Sesco Cement Plant at Wingate and 75th Street. The crane apparently crushed 2 cement trucks, killing 1 worker. Even though a horrible storm was forecasted to hit Houston last Thursday, the lawsuit alleges it was business as usual at Sesco's cement plant. Strong winds and lightning toppled cranes.
Multiple cranes were blown over at this construction site, not just the yellow crane that fell onto our client's vehicle, but multiple other cranes.
A cement mixer working near Crosby Ware was killed when the crane came crashing down. According to the lawsuit, Crosby miraculously survived, but suffered catastrophic injuries to his head, neck, and back.
The cab of his cement truck was crushed in by some lines, like steel lines, associated with the crane, and part of the crane also hit the cement mixer portion of his truck.
The lawsuit accuses the 4 defendants, Sesco Cement Corporation, Agri Systems, DBA ASI Industrial, Lamson International, and McCrae Crane and Rigging of gross negligence and conscious decision to value profits over safety.
Now that shouldn't come as a surprise. 1 killed, several hurt after severe turbulence on a Singaporean airline flight from London. That's severe turbulence.
What do we know so far? Good morning, Anne-Marie. Well, 1 person has been killed and several people injured on Singapore Airlines Flight 321, which was en route from London's Heathrow Airport to Singapore. Singapore Airlines says the Boeing 777 encountered severe turbulence and diverted to Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport in Thailand, where the injured are receiving treatment. There were apparently 211 passengers and 18 crew members on board. 1 passenger told the Reuters news agency that some on board hit their heads on the baggage cabins overhead, leaving dents. Now, Singapore Airlines, which actually has a famously strong safety record, offered its, quote, sincere condolences to the family of the person killed. Southeast Asia often experiences extreme weather. It is close to the equator, and turbulence is certainly not uncommon in that region. And
Turbulence. Not uncommon in that region. No air quality concerns after a chemical fire causes partial building collapse. Pittsburgh.
Fire started. The good news, no workers were inside when it did, and no injuries in all of this.
Don't buy another pair of glasses until you've seen what this new invention can do. These self-adjustable glasses.
I talked to the fire chief earlier, asking him if anybody in the community should be concerned about the chemicals that burned into the air for much of the day. Intense black smoke seen for miles from a chemical fire on Consol Energy property. The Bailey Omni plant on Enon Church Road, right on the line between Greene and Washington counties. West Findlay Volunteer Fire Chief Steve Emery called for an evacuation for houses over the hill from Enon Church Road to Route 18.
I was very alarmed because and it was lingering, the heavy dark smoke, not knowing what was burning.
When his firefighters arrived, they couldn't enter the building. So they called the Waynesburg and Washington fire departments and started shuttling water. In all, 25 fire companies from Washington, Greene, and Fayette counties helped battle the fire. Hours later.
But don't you worry. Okay? No concerns. No concerns over the air quality. You could go, actually take your kids, do a day of it. Go next to that building and just breathe deep. Entire communities of for-rent homes. We are a renting nation now. The American dream has been put to sleep.
Because the demand is only growing.
As a single mom, especially, it's difficult to be that one income in the household. And
seem to pop up weekly in Central Florida.
Yes, they do. But in some of these communities, the homes are not for sale. West U's Meredith McDonough takes us into these rent-only subdivisions.
I previously resided in New York and came to Florida for the good weather, more family-oriented environment, fresh air, sun, beaches, all that good stuff.
Joanna Becknell was looking for the perfect home, and she found it at Binion Reserve in Apopka. With so many new neighborhoods being built in Central Florida, this one is unique. The homes are not for sale, but for rent.
I was surprised. Normally you see apartment communities going up, and to see a community of homes going up. And I said to myself, goal, next year, I'm going to get a house. And here I am.
This community is one of 9 owned and operated by American Homes for Rent. You may have seen some of the rental home communities in Apopka, but also at Sky Lakes in St. Cloud and Celery Cove in Sanford. Brent Laundrie is the Executive Vice President of Development for AMH. He flew in from Atlanta to take us on a tour of Windward Hills across from the Orlando Apopka Airport.
So in Central Florida, and really across America, we are short housing in general, and we believe that we need more housing options, quality options of all sizes and shapes for families in all sizes and situations. We build.
Well, it's true. But how many people do you know who could afford $2,900 a month? Oh, I'm going to play this, a special message to all the beach Karens of the world. I'm so sorry. I don't even want to. That Karen, who decided that's the name, to attach to crazy people? There are a lot of Karens that I would think are pissed, So, let's just call, these beach people control freaks.
I wasn't planning on doing any videos. We're on vacation out here in Okaloosa, Fort Walton, Destin, Florida, the Panhandle, one of my favorite places to come to. But I gotta tell you, whoever's in charge of the beach conditions flags, you can see it over there, it's currently red today. Yesterday was double red. And the Nazi lifeguards, and I'm guessing they're trained by the county to be this way, but it was the most ridiculous thing ever. We're down here with our kids. I've been in and around the ocean my whole life. I've swam in riptides. I've gotten out of riptides. Yes, they are scary to be in. The problem is they aren't the entire county wide. And so I don't know if it's laziness or it's just Karens are in charge of setting up and controlling the flags and controlling the beach conditions. But yesterday, literally, this is what they said. I'm going to walk out here to the beach. By the way, it's beautiful sand, beautiful white sand. This is why people come here. The reason people come here is for the beach. And so we're out here with our kids, and I am a good dad. So I'm with my kids at the beach. And our kids are out in the water. They're up to their shins. And we've got this lifeguard comes by on his quad. And he starts yelling at us to get out of the water. And we're lucky that they don't just do dry sand. That's what he said. He said, we're lucky we're letting you in the water. So yesterday, double red is you can only go foot deep. So I guess you could like touch your toes in the water. But I just want you guys to look at the ocean here. I don't know if they're just a bunch of wussies or what. This is some of the calmest water I've seen. There's no reason you can't be swimming out there if you know how to swim. Now, if you don't know how to swim, don't go in the ocean. And that's the problem. You get some jackass who doesn't know how to swim, who has been drinking, goes out in the ocean and they drown. Or you get some terrible parent who lets their kids run wild and the kid goes out in the ocean and the kid drowns. That shouldn't affect every single person out here. I don't know. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of the whole nanny state. I'm sick of the Karens who complain about everything. And I'm sick of everybody giving in to them.
Link is in the chat if you want to listen to the last 2 minutes. But it's a big problem, you know. Not only have we unleashed evil, the narcissists, the malignant narcissists, the psychopaths, but the control freaks, you know, everybody feels absolutely fine about screaming at people, you know, to stop doing what you're doing. Listen to the authorities, right? All right, I'm going to try to go through this information quickly. Klaus Schwab steps down as World Economic Forum executive chairman. But what's interesting is that he has to get approval from the Swiss government. Well, change in his role is pending approval by the Swiss government. Maybe Klaus is a puppet as well. He is. But boy, these evil puppets get to live lives that none of us could even dream of. Mainstream finally gets it. The AI investment play isn't tech, it's energy. So if any of you remember that video that I played that was on Rumble, the man talking about Silent Green, 6G is people harvesting our energy. Yes, there is an energy in us, an electricity in us that they can pull from us. It's probably one of the reasons why they want us all in dense 15-minute cities so they can pull out a lot of energy. In fact, it's not the tech itself for AI, but the electrical power required to run the tech that is the limiting factor on the growth of AI and data center expansion. These pages have been warning for years about an electric power shortage, and now grid regulators and utilities are ramping up warnings. Projections for U.S. electricity demand growth over the next 5 years have doubled from a year ago. The major culprits: new artificial intelligence data centers, federally subsidized manufacturing plants, and the government-driven electric vehicle transition. Well, they're going to be pulling that electricity from us as well. A whole lot of people are talking about how exhausted they are. They have no energy. These electromagnetic frequencies are ripping it out of us. But if you want to learn more about that, then I'll put Synergy's Odyssey channel link in the chat. Body area networks. Meaning our bodies, individual bodies. All right, the link is in the chat. And a condensed version of Biofield Explained. She posted this too. Okay, Silent Green is people. 6G is people. Alrighty. Oh, forget it. And look at this. Biden drains entire Northeast gasoline reserve in bid to lower gas prices as he trails Trump by double digits. Who cares this election. I don't. But there's a mammoth 1,050-page bill that was meant to avert a government shutdown. But it was yet another pork-filled free for all bonanza authorizing $1.7 trillion in discretionary spending. Wow! That's a lot of discretionary spending. Okay, so the entire U.S. 1 million barrel Northeast gas line supply reserve will be required to be sold and closed in fiscal 2024. Did China write this bill? What I find interesting is yesterday I saw articles about how the U.S. is buying oil from other countries for our strategic reserve. Something is amiss, right? Department of Energy cancels purchases for strategic oil reserve. This was April 4, 2024. U.S. purchases 33 million barrels of oil for strategic petroleum reserve. May 19. What's going on? Who knows what's going on? But oil will always be used by the elite. Not for us anymore. The most reliable energy source this planet has to offer. Get rid of it. Several states take steps to block a central bank digital currency. All right, so when I see, tweets where people, Florida, I think Indiana is one of them, blocking central bank digital currency, and then they're all, yay, I love living in Florida, and they think that that's actually going to stop a central bank digital currency. It ain't. They can pass all the legislation they want, but when the time comes for that digital currency to replace cash, all of these states will have no power. Doesn't matter what legislation they pass. Indiana, the first state to pass legislation relating to central bank digital currency, enacted in 2023, the law explicitly excludes a CBDC from the definition of money under the state's the UCC commercial code. The law amends the definition of money to specify the term does not include a central bank digital currency that is currently adopted. Okay. Similar law enacted in Florida, and then this year South Dakota, Tennessee, and Utah followed. Anything that disrupts interstate transit, commercial trade, goodbye, state legislation. Oh, how about they bring on the digital currency at a time when the wars explode. It's officially declared that we have World War III, and they just bring it on. They have so many emergency powers. So, I'm sorry. It's not a big woo-hoo to celebrate. It's kind of like New Hampshire, Tennessee, other states passing laws, recent legislation banning chemtrailing, banning geoengineering. They can't do it. They literally cannot do it because transport over the states, planes, the FAA has jurisdiction, not the states. And what would it matter? Okay, turn off the chemtrail sprayer in the plane. when you're getting to the Tennessee border. Leave it off, but then you're going to turn it on again when you get out of Tennessee. Now, and I've said this legislation is good because it at least those people who believe that there's no spraying, we're crazy conspiracy theorists, maybe it will open their eyes a bit, but it's ludicrous legislation. So New York City apparently is spending an insane amount on schooling, while we see districts around the country, massive layoffs, schools shutting down. New York City is spending more money. Could it be the illegal migrants? Perhaps. Spending billions more on its public schools despite falling enrollment. And now it's close to $40,000 per pupil, per student. $40,000 per student to get shit food, a shit education. That's a lot for babysitters that are not even good babysitters, abusive babysitters. So I find it interesting that New York City is kind of doing the opposite of what an awful lot are doing. Makes you go, Behind rosy economic data, Americans struggle to make ends meet. Don't we know this? Of course we know this. 22 food programs for needy slashed. Where? New York City. Food pantries in New York City are closing down, or only getting enough money to give now half a bag of food at a time when people are really struggling and food insecurity is growing, right? 22 food programs. The city cuts $30 million. Food cut is critical for Staten Island food pantries. City of New York removed more than $30 million from the emergency food program known as Community Food Access. 22 Staten Island churches, synagogues, and interfaith programs like Project Hospitality will lose 1/2 of their emergency food for distribution on food lines across the borough. But most notably, on the North Shore, I guess that food pantry will close in 6 weeks. With the highest number of meals and people in need in the history of our borough, with apartment rents the highest they have ever been in our borough. Faith-based volunteers from across our borough will be forced to fill up half a bag of food, taking much needed food and nutrition out of the mouths of babe, working parents, disabled, and elderly. We are headed for disaster for our babies, our school-aged children, our disabled, and elderly. So, again, this looks very dark, and I'm going to have to go back into this webcam, its settings. Oh, I just got light again. Oh, well. Disturbing increase in hunger on Long Island. Long Island, that's Long Island is New York, but it's not New York City. Food insecurity has skyrocketed from 2021 to 2022 on Long Island. Increases of 58.3% overall, and 63.4% for children. And it's not getting better. So, when you see cuts like this that are going on all over the country, and a whole lot of these cuts are because they're putting the money for illegal migrants. And let's just listen to a few minutes of Gregory Mannarino.
Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino. Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. I'm really happy to be here with all of you, honestly. Sometimes this stuff gets to me like you have no idea. And today is one of those days. And let me put a perspective on this for you. First of all, can you guys all hear me and see me okay? Because this thing is freaking out right now. So I hope you guys can see me and hear me. Anyway, so we got, it's just crazy, man. We got a new record high today for the S&P 500. Thanks, Shannon. And a new record high for the NASDAQ. Let me say this. You and I have nailed this to the wall. We said, I don't know how long now, very long time, that the worse the economy gets, the higher the stock market is going to go. And people are suffering on a massive scale. This freak show, this is no, this is a disaster on a scale that is very difficult to get your head around. I mean, look, I'm going to just cut right to this with you right here and right now. You got to dig for some of this stuff once in a while. It's not easy to find, but this was an interesting article that came out. This is from Smart News. Unfortunately, I don't have the writer's name. This is just some of the highlights of it here. So right now, food insecurity or hunger here in the United States has hit a 2-decade high. Let me just read a little bit of this to you. The national average cost per meal has reached its highest point in the last 2 decades. 40% of the food insecure population in the United States is now white demographically. This is the highest level in history. Food insecurity rates among Black and Latino individuals continue to exceed those of white individuals in most counties. Okay. Food insecurity exists right now in all 50 states, including District of Columbia, and child food insecurity or hunger rates reach almost 50% in some counties. So is this the booming economy that we've been told about? You got Jeffrey Gundlach today. You know, I used to respect this guy, but I think he must be bought and paid for, okay? Because they float this guy out, you know, the bond king, multi-billionaire. He must know something, right? Because he's a multi-billionaire. He's talking about how the United States might fall into recession. I would say that we have now food insecurity at a 2-decade high is a pretty good sign that things aren't so good. Now, I mean, this is Business Insider talking about recession. Recession seems almost certain. Oh, it's almost certain. Which threatens to pummel household businesses and the stock market. Unemployment has jumped higher in the last in 19 states, making a national recession almost inevitable. Let's move forward with this here. This is just insane. Now, I ran a poll here with all of you, and 71% of you said that the current state of affairs with skyrocketing inflation was impacting your life. Now, here we go. This is today. 2/3 of Americans say inflation has made their financial situation worse. I mean, that's just a big fat duh. But I'm here to tell you that if you think it's bad now, you have no idea what's going on. And here's what's happening, and I really hope this is not you. Also from today's CNBC, Americans are going into debt to buy groceries. I mean, you and I called this, we said this would happen. People were going to melt their credit cards to try to maintain some kind of a lifestyle, but they're being pushed deliberately down to the lower rung of society, okay? This is the neo-feudal system that you and I have been talking about. Now, I want you to keep this in mind before we move forward. Now, I really want you to focus on what I'm about to say. All right, so food insecurity or hunger in the United States at a 2-decade high, and it's out of control. Homelessness. We are going off the charts here. All right, this is going back here, 2000, looks like 2008, 2009. You can see even during the great so-called, recession, that homelessness was dropping. Even when freaking Obama took office, it was dropping, started to pick up a little bit towards the end of Obama. During Trump, big move higher in homelessness. Now, during this freak thing, look at this. Do you notice something here? It's skyrocketing. Do you believe that this trend is going to stop? Carlos, thank you. This trend, we're going to go so far off the charts here with homelessness. Probably some of you out here, maybe me too. You can't make this stuff up here. So we got hunger now at a 20-year high in the United States. We've never seen the demographics like this before, that, so-called privileged white individuals now, their highest rate of hunger ever in history, okay? And now you got, no one's going to show you this, not Trump, not the freaking Biden, because we're the envy of the world. And I guess we were the envy of the world during Trump too. Now that was easy money. That's all it was, okay? Rah, stock market. See what I'm talking about? Record high today. Economy is in absolute shambles. Couldn't possibly be worse. But a lot of you lulled into some sense that this is the savior here. How about no? No one's saving you people, but this.
Yes. This. The homelessness. Numbers skyrocketing. We've got elderly being thrown out on the street. We've got more people having to go to food pantries, and we've got cities like New York cutting $30 million out of the budget to feed people at a time when, again, it's not a recession. I think either he said it already or he says it. We're in a depression. But yeah, a lot of people still looking at Trump as the savior. Holy shit. And a lot of people just do not want to take in, and I've posted, and I have my Trump playlist back on Never Lose Truth. How many videos was I posting showing? Again, it's like no different than the Democrats with Obama were the Republicans with Trump. You love what he's saying. Oh, I love those words. Don't tell me what he does. I love the words. Yay! Yeah, an awful lot at the top did really well under Trump during the Trump years. But a whole lot of people did not. And talk about the easy money, the quantitative easing that was going on. We'll just print it. We'll print it all. I mean, if you don't want to look at what people do, because the words they say soothe your mind and heart, you're a fool and you're dangerous. So, confirmed horrifying scandal. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to play a few minutes. But the link is in the chat. You might want to circulate John Campbell, what he has to say here.
Hello, warm welcome to today's talk, and I want to report on the infected blood scandal that's just been published in a report in my country. Now, I remember people talking about this and this going on early on in my career, because this happened in the 70s and the 80s. So it appears that in my country, the delay from something going wrong to the final report on it seems to be about 40 years. So if it was, anything is going wrong in healthcare at the moment, hypothetically speaking, but it's possible there's things going wrong, then I guess we'll know about it fairly fully in roughly, well, what is it now, 2024 now, so probably about 2064 we'll know about it. Now in 2064, I will not be here. Most of the people that are potentially doing things, doing things, who knows, maybe even doing things wrong, now and in the past few years won't be here either. This 40-year delay is not acceptable.
Well, that's the same thing that we've got going here in the U.S. as they got going there in the U.K. So it's a blood scandal. I'll put the link in again. You know, a lot of this information really does need to be circulated.
Well, a warm welcome to today's talk, and I want to report on the infected blood scandal that's just been published in a report in my country. Now, I remember people talking about this and this going on early on in...
The public allows the government to just get away with everything. Woman admits to lying about attack in parking lot. You know, I'm really getting tired of people lying. And I'm upset by something that took place yesterday. I was lied to again. And I just... The reason why I bring it up is because these people who do this don't care about the effect that they have on other people. You got to get that the effect of lying and behaving in an immature manner that causes drama, and then other people are left to have to suffer whatever the carnage is, but they go off their merry way. And I'm really tired of it. It's almost like lying in our country is common parlance. That's just what people do. And you just, you know, accept it. I can't accept it. I can't accept it. Lying really screws up an awful lot. Woman admits to lying about an attack in a parking lot. Innocent man freed from jail. The suffering that liars cause, it's not okay.
His attempted rape charges dropped against a man wrongfully accused after he spent more than a month behind bars. Tonight, a 20-year-old Bucks County woman says she lied about the attack after police said her story didn't add up. Action News reporter Caroline Goggin is live in Middletown Township, Bucks County, with the full story. Caroline.
Well, Rick, this is a story we reported on a month ago, and tonight I spoke with the attorney who represents the man who was accused of attempted rape and kidnapping in this grocery store parking lot. That attorney tells me that woman's story never added up, and that the update in this case is better late than never. 41-year-old Daniel Pearson is home with his family tonight, out of jail after the Bucks County DA says he was wrongly accused of attempted rape and kidnapping. This is the woman who accused him of those crimes, 20-year-old Angela Yurimova. Police in Middletown Township said Yurimova called them on the night of April 16th, claiming a man grabbed her in the parking lot of the Redners off Lincoln Highway and attempted to pull her pants down while he carried and pulled her back toward his truck. Yurimova said she was able to break free and that he drove away. Police used a license plate reader system that spotted a similar truck nearby. They tracked it to Pearson, and he was held at the Bucks County Correctional Facility on $1 million bail. A new complaint now states Daniel Pearson was charged with multiple felony offenses and remained incarcerated for a total of 31 days before Yurimova admitted to her lies.
Well, good that she admitted to her lies, but what the hell? What makes people do things like this? I've always been fascinated with human behavior and what motivates that behavior, my own included. We have a real problem because it has been my observation that not a lot of people care at all. Not a lot of people care at all. That a huge majority live their lives lying. How could we get anywhere good if that's what it's about. How could we ever trust one another if people lie all the time? You know, and someone wrote, I can never trust a liar once they lie to me. Uh-huh. I get it. I don't. And it makes you question everything that has gone on before. I do. I question everything that someone has said. Once they start lying, that's it. It's... If people could stop lying, we would get somewhere. Metro woman says dog was stolen out of her yard or got lost, but then stolen from an animal shelter in Oklahoma.
Julie Valentine says when she went to bed, her 2 dogs were behind this gate. However, when she woke up, the gate was open and her 2 dogs were missing.
I still feel sad about it. Yeah, I miss them, both of them, really bad.
Julie is talking about her dogs, Blaze, a Jack Russell Terrier mix, and Teddy. The dogs disappeared from the backyard nearly 2 weeks ago. Julie says how they got out remains a mystery.
I panicked. I went and got my car and drove all the neighborhoods around here looking for him.
She got her first lead when she searched online and saw Blaze on the Oklahoma City Animal Welfare website.
And I was excited. I went up there to pay for him that day, to get him out that day. They wanted to give him all of his shots and neuter him before I could take him.
Julie was told to come pick up Blaze from the shelter the next Tuesday. But when she went to the animal shelter, Blaze was once again missing.
A few days later, he calls me back and said that they found him, or they found out what happened. The same people that brought him in went in there and took him.
The animal shelter says understaffing is to blame.
This was a particular day where no one was stationed at the front door. The people that took this dog were clever about it. They found a leash. They acted like they were supposed to try to get the dog outside.
Shelter officials say they are heartbroken that the dog was stolen while in their care.
It's devastating to us to not be able to get a pet back to its owner.
As for Julie, she says she's praying whoever took Blaze will bring him back.
Please get my dog back. I want him. I miss him.
In Oklahoma City, Amaya Ward, Oklahoma's News 4.
Oklahoma City police say they are investigating this case, and they do have video of the person who took the dog. The animals.
What's wrong with the animal shelter? They didn't have it documented that the owner came to claim the dog and that they were holding the dog to give the dog shots. Yeah, okay. Well, you can't get your dog back until Tuesday. So it's not documented? They released the dog to somebody else? You know, I'm sorry, man. This is how police are now enforcing Georgia's new squatter laws.
South Fulton has...
And I just want to say again, may I, that there are squatter laws means something's very wrong with government. Because there should be no squatter laws. It's called breaking an entry. It's criminal. It's a criminal offense. But now cities all over the country have decided that squatters have rights. Oh, but the squatters now are multiplying fast. So now, I guess people are a little bit upset. And they got to change the laws.
Already created a special task force just to go after squatters, armed with the authority of this new law.
I know everybody thinks you can go in the house and go out and sit there. That law changed the other day. That law changed the other day.
When police officers knocked on the door of this South Fulton home this month, armed with new powers to cite squatters criminally on the spot, the suspected squatters ran out the back door.
All these fake leases, and I got receipts for this, and I rented this. Nope. That's over with.
So we're basically putting these squatters on notice. The laws change.
Y'all squatting in my house.
It was a very different scene earlier this spring when police were called to Paul Callan's DeKalb County home.
They'll break in your house and then use the law to stay in there.
Where is it?
You have the lease, ma'am? I do. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, bro, you got a full lease.
Police body camera video was rolling as officers were handed what they suspected was a fake lease.
So you got somebody with a fake lease?
Yeah, I think the lease is fake, but it's no way I can prove it.
So the officers just left, told Callens and the suspected squatter it's not a criminal matter.
This will take time. Like, we can't put you out because we're not here for that. And he'll have to deal with it with law courts and so like.
They shouldn't be in there for, a minute. They should be, out immediately.
Are you selling a squatter home right here? After an exclusive Channel 2 Action News hidden camera investigation and a series of viral Channel 2 Action News squatter stories, Georgia lawmakers rewrote the law on squatters, spelling out that this is a crime that must be dealt with in magistrate court in a matter of days, not weeks or months.
So this is no longer a civil matter. Once this law was passed, it has now became a criminal offense.
Breaking into somebody's home because they're not home, the owners aren't home, is a criminal offense. It was always a criminal offense. This is how somebody wrote, is the USA really this insane? Haha, you have no idea. You have no idea. Americans, they're gone. Yeah. And what's interesting is watching the well-adjusted to a deeply disturbed society be really deeply disturbed, and they don't know it. Dollar Tree, this is another one. So last night it was Whole Foods, where a man apparently jacked off on a woman. Shopping, okay, now we have another one. Dollar Tree. This seems to be a trend. Maybe it's a TikTok challenge.
And it started when the man approached her from behind and whispered to her. We want to warn you the details in this story are very graphic.
A Houston woman who chooses to remain anonymous tells Fox 26 she was visiting this Dollar Tree in the River Oaks area December 5th with a friend when a man walked behind her and whispered things sexually explicit in nature.
He said he would my that, he wanted to have me.
The woman says after being shocked for a few seconds, she turned around, yelled for him to get away, and walked to her friend on a different aisle. After checking out her items, she made a gruesome discovery outside in the car.
I feel this cold in my back, like in my buttocks. And I said, oh, I feel it. I think I'm wet. And when she looked at me, she just panicked. She's like, oh my God.
The woman went back inside the store and found out other women reported similar incidents.
I just got sexually assaulted in your store. And she turns around and she yells in Spanish, not knowing that I am bilingual. And she says, oh, another one. We just have another one. And I was like so stunned. I'm like, what do you mean you have another one? She's like, you're the third case in less than 4 days.
Since then, the lawsuit alleges her incident report has not been followed up. Requests for any store surveillance video of the incident have been ignored. Her attorney claims the Dollar Tree location is negligent for not taking the allegation seriously. Anna Greenberg says the store is inadequately staffed, contributing to more crime.
What's the point of having video surveillance footage if you're not going to actually use it to prevent crimes or properly address crimes that have been reported?
Hey. Bingo. Light goes off in head. What's the point? Oh my God. Florida real estate broker demands commission after widow breaks her leg and can't sell her home.
Tonight to the story of an elderly widow who signed a contract to sell her home, but later broke her leg and was unable to move.
She refunded the deposit and released the buyers from their contract. But I-Team investigator Adam Mulser has learned months later her own real estate broker is demanding more than $25,000 and threatening legal action over a lost sales commission.
And here's my husband.
What's his name?
This is Robert.
For nearly 20 years, Jacqueline Estrada shared this Spring Hill home with her husband, Robert.
This home was my heart and soul.
But after Robert passed away from a prolonged illness, the home became a painful reminder of her loss.
I thought it would get easier. It's not getting easier. It's getting harder.
Jacqueline decided to sell and downsize. Last spring, she signed a home listing agreement with RE/MAX Collective Agency in Carrollwood. The house got an offer in June, and Jacqueline was preparing to move until she fell on July 2nd and shattered her leg.
They found me right here.
Jacqueline underwent hours of surgery for multiple breaks.
You got some hardware in there, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of hardware in there. Okay, I didn't think my leg could take that much.
After weeks of recovery and in-home rehab, Jacqueline says she still couldn't move out.
The doctor said to me, he said, "You're not ready yet." He said, "Your leg," he said, "it's not healed."
In late August, Jacqueline and the buyers, 2 investors, signed a release and cancellation of contract agreement, which she says was on the advice of her realtor.
Buyers backed out. They said, "We can't wait that long for this house." He told me, "You're fine. We're not going to hold you to anything."
According to the document, the parties agreed to release each other from all claims and actions arising from or relating to the contract. But 7 months later, Jacqueline received a certified letter from attorney Kristen Martinez, which said inexplicably you refused to sell the property at the closing, even though all terms and conditions of the sales agreement and listing agreement had been met. Jacqueline hired real estate attorney Andy Lyons.
The realtor decided that they were going to come after a 75-year-old woman who fell and broke her leg for their commission. They want her to go into her bank account to pay them on a commission for a sale that never happened.
$23,740.
Plus legal fees.
Right. What do you think about that?
I think they're wrong.
Everybody agreed to let her out of it and walk away. And I've been practicing law 30 years nearly, and I've never seen this once.
It's Adam Walser over at ABC Action News.
We contacted Jacqueline's agent, broker, and attorney Kristen Martinez by phone and email. A South Florida attorney who also represents RE/MAX responded in an email saying, "Our client has acted in good faith and with the highest level of professionalism. It has spent time and money assisting Ms. Estrada, and our client has a valid claim for services rendered."
I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating.
Jacqueline says she agreed to let her agent sell the house when she was ready to move and was shocked by the demand letter.
If I was to sell it, this house has to pay for my next house.
And you don't think it would if you take out this fee?
It won't.
Jacqueline says she worked hard as a hairdresser, waitress, and home health aide to buy a home and pay off the mortgage.
I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. It was probably a used plastic spoon.
Late Monday afternoon, we received an email from RE/MAX's attorney saying that the matter had been amicably resolved. I'm I-Team investigator Adam Walsh.
People suck. People suck. I don't like to repeat myself, but people suck. Cartel violence in U.S. has gotten way out of control. Law enforcement expert talks about it.
Guessing you're not surprised the cartels are operating nationwide, coast to coast, in every U.S. state at this point.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I saw that national threat assessment released by DEA. And actually, in my opinion, I think it's been that way for some time now. Mexican cartels have been in every single state in our country, and it's only going to get worse. There's more of them, and we're seeing the violence attributed to the Mexican cartel. What they're doing in Mexico, they're doing it here. We're seeing more cartel-related murders here in the United States. They're setting up a lot of stash houses for human smuggling, human trafficking, weapons, drugs. I mean, it's just entirely out of control. DEA is doing a great job. Unfortunately, they don't have the resources that they need. The same goes with other agencies. What I'd like to see our government do is provide more funding to the high-intensity drug trafficking area program. Those are.
I guess he doesn't know that our government is part of the drug trafficking I guess he doesn't get that. Apparently, Trump said in a video, suggesting his victory will bring a unified Reich. Anybody hear a video with Trump talking about a unified Reich? Interesting. They don't have quotes. So, I have to wonder. And they played some of the video, but then they cut off and start talking, and they don't play the unified Reich part. I guess it's to protect our ears. But look, man, I mean, these trials, talk about a distraction. The great setup with David Martin. I will link below to this video. Might want to circulate it. I'm just going to play the opening.
I made a commitment at the very beginning of this to stay within the four walls of the laws as we have them today. I've only asked for the laws to be upheld. If we have laws, if we have what we call fair play, then let's actually play by the rules. The courts across the board made an unambiguous declaration that we were in a public health emergency and that the World Health Organization and the CDC were the only arbiters of what the facts were. And so you could not argue the facts. Gates represents 88% of the donation to the World Health Organization from donor organizations and agencies. By any definition, that's a controlling interest. They had no problem going after osteopaths and chiropractors and people who were advocating for zinc or hydroxychloroquine, and they were shutting people down, they were taking people's licenses. So the Deceptive Medical Practices Law was very much in play.
We will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
So I think we're going to get different pathogens. We already see the Nipah craze that was going on in India, and we've got a bunch of other toxins that are being discussed. Apocalypses have been overrated every time they've been promoted. And by the way, human history is filled with apocalypse forecasts, and they all suck. We forget that we have a conscious role to play in this. And if we give the frequency of evil the carrier frequency on which it can transmit, guess what will be transmitted? Evil.
Yeah, and we gave evil the frequency to transmit by sitting back and doing nothing. It transmits. And boy, woof, it has spread. A whole lot. Did I put the link in? Yes, I did. It's 6:44. Put in the title Israel/Gaza. And I wanted to get to it. The window is still open. I'm putting more and more in that window. There's so much going on. The subject matter upsets me greatly. And some of the comments really upset me. And I was too upset because of experiences that I had yesterday with certain people. Not here. So, I apologize to anyone. It's obvious what's going on. And it's obvious that Americans are so involved in the genocide taking place. I don't know if any of you are on Twitter, but I go on, and Twitter is awash with videos coming out of Gaza. An awful lot I can't play because For some reason now, Twitter won't let me play 9 out of 10 of the videos. They just circle and circle and circle. But I retweet them, and it's horrifying. The amount of evil that is taking place is horrifying. That means something's wrong with the world's people. So we all need to look at ourselves in the mirror. You know, the heart grows cold. Doesn't have to. Maybe that was a warning. Don't let it grow cold. For any suffering that you face. For any suffering that you witness. Don't let it grow cold. And once again, I say, just do something in your community. Be a power of example, live honestly and speak honestly. But I will say this, most Americans don't even know how to do that. Don't know how to do it. It was never a conversation that took off with my crowd, my tribe, that I've been away from since 2012. No one wanted to have any serious discussion about anything. Everybody was too much involved in gossip or talking about themselves. The immaturity was pretty rampant. Not that I'm saying I'm mismature. It's not about perfection. It's just about, man, do we need to grow up? Do we need to work on ourselves and stop creating so much bullshit? And I'm talking about the ordinary people. Forget the people in Washington, D.C. You can't reach them. You know? We can reach ourselves, and it comes down to the individual making a choice to do some growing. There's an awful lot of people suffering all of this weather warfare in our country. Going right on up, you know, I mean, you got people in Georgia, you got people in Alabama and Mississippi and Texas and Oklahoma, you got people in Kansas, you got people in Iowa, you got people in Missouri, you got people in Tennessee. You're going to have more and more people, and if you're close to these communities, go. Help out. Help out. Spend some time. Be a power of example that way. So, anyway, on that note, thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Mama Rages. You were the lone moderator tonight. And hope to see you tomorrow night. And please don't take lightly, at all, don't take lightly, these storms. Mama Rages, I'll be thinking about you. You got your Doppler radar down here, Michigan. That's in your area. I know that you're in the southern portion of Michigan. But these, they look a little like they're dying out, but again, remember, they can intensify them, and they bring about an awful lot of destruction in the wee hours of the morning. So, be alert, pay attention, be safe. And on that note, I say good night, and good luck to each and every one of you. Ciao, guys.